Errors and exceptions in Python. Exceptions are errors that occur when your program is running, while errors, for example, syntax error, occur before program execution happens. How to raise exceptions? You can raise exception yourself for one reason or another by using the raise keyword. You will want to raise exceptions when something occurs and you want to inform users of your app. For example, the input given is incorrect. Let's try out an example. Define a function raise underscore error and pass a parameter error, return error. Call the function return underscore error and pass value error keyword. Run the cell to see the result. Value error. Built-in exceptions. Python ships with a ton of built-in exception classes to cover a lot of error situations so that you don't have to define your own. These classes are divided into base error classes from which other classes are defined, and concrete error classes which define the exception you are more likely to see from time to time. Syntax error. A syntax error is very common, especially if you are new to Python. It occurs when you type a line of code which the Python interpreter is unable to parse. Here is an example. Define raise underscore error and pass a parameter error. Call raise an error function value error. You can see that run the cell to see the result. It will raise an error, invalid syntax. You can see that a syntax error was raised with the message invalid syntax. You can also see from the stack trace the exact line the error occurred on and a small cap pointing to the source of the error. This is the cap pointing and this is the point where error will raise. In this case, the omission of colon in the function signature. Adding it will enable the interpreter to parse the line successfully and move on with execution. Import error. An import error occurs when an import cannot be resolved. For example, importing a non-existing module will raise a module not found error. That is a subclass of the import error class. Let an example. Import non-existent module. It will raise error module not found error. No module named non-existent module, because non-existent module is not available in the Python library. Key error. A key error occurs when dictionary key is not found while trying to access it. Here is an example. We have a dictionary person and has key name and age. Name has value Rich Brown and age has value 16. We access the person dictionary through key gender. The person dictionary defined here has only two keys, name and age. Attempting to read a key called gender raises a key error. A simple way of mitigating a key error is to use the get method that is defined on dictionaries when accessing keys, which will return none or a custom value if the key is non-existent. Let's see an example. The same dictionary as you see in the above cell, person has key name and value Rich Brown, has key age and value 16. Person.get of gender. Run the cell. It will not raise an error when you use get method for accessing dictionaries. Type error. A type error will occur if you attempt to do an operation on a value or object of the wrong type. Adding a string to an int results in the following error. Here are a few examples. Print. This is a string and this is an integer value and this is a string value. When you add these two values, then you will get an error. Run the cell. Must be string, not int. This also occurs when passing wrong arguments. For example, passing an integer when we expect a list. A is equal to 6. A is a variable and has value 6. For index, value in enumerate A, print value. int object is not iterable. A type error will raise, which is int object is not iterable. The error displayed means that we can't loop over an int object. Attribute error. An attribute error is raised when assigning or referencing an attribute fails. Here is an example. We are going to try and call a method called push on a list object. Here is an example. We are going to try and call a method called push on a list object. We have a list A and has the following elements 1, 2, 3 and A dot push of 4. Run the cell. An attribute error will occur, which is list object has no attribute push. An attribute error is thrown because the list object has no attribute called push. Index error. An index error occurs if you are trying to access an index, for example in a list which does not exist. Here is an example. We have a list A and has the following elements 1, 2, 3 and print A at index 3. This means we access the element which is at index 3 in list A. It will raise an index error, list index out of range, because there is no element at index 3 in the list A. Name error. A name error occurs when a specified name cannot be found either locally or globally. This usually happens because the name or variable is not defined. The list A only has 3 indexes 0, 1 and 2. Attempting to access index 3 will cause the interpreter to throw an index error. For example, printing any undefined variable should throw a name error. Run the cell. Because age variable is not defined before using. File not found error. This error is raised if a file you are attempting to read or write is not found. Here is an example. With open context manager, pass input.txt file and R as its mode as my file is object. For line in my file, iterate all lines in my file, print all the lines. File not. The preceding code attempts to read a file called input.txt. Since we have deliberately not created any such file on our environment, we get a file not found error.